Enforcement and Nuisance Board. First, if we will have a roll call.
Deere,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
LaPointe,
Now have an approval of the July minutes.
Move approval?
Second.
Eggleton, Deere,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
LaPointe,
Now swear in our officials. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, thank you.
Chairman, we do have with us, too, the city attorney, Hillary Hightower. For those of you that have not met Hillary's with us. From time to time, she may participate in assisting the city in its presentation.
Welcome.
Nice to be here. Sorry, I have to meet you all in a mask. I've had an exposure, so I'm going to keep my mask on. But if you can't hear me, if I have to address you, please let me know. It's nice to meet you all. I've met you, Ryan, but it's nice to meet everyone else. It's nice to be here.
Thank you very much for being here. We will now move to our hearing agenda. First case on the docket is case number 2021-1448, citation 2021-4187.1, 2508 Scottsville Road, owner PCRE Investments LLC, respondent Michael Vitale and Tim Poston, and Officer Nick Lawhon.
Good evening. Tabitha, will we be able to get my PowerPoint slides? Awesome.
If you don't mind, we are waiting on him to join the call, Mr. Poston, and there's some technical issues going on with that. So if you wouldn't mind to give it just a moment, and hopefully he'll be joining the call here, and then we can get started.
That'd be fine.
So what system are y'all using?
Life size.
Someday I want everybody to be on the same Zoom system. We have this constant battle. Everybody's on a different Zoom type system. So it depends on where you are, what it's gonna be.
Better to move ahead to the next one and then come back to this one.
Well, normally it would. Our information technology person will have to leave, though, so he's trying to get it hashed out. I'm sorry for the delay, though.
That's the person you really can't do it that.
Yes.
If you guys want to move on to the next one, we can try and get him back in. Technical difficulties. We're trying to get him to call in because he's not able to do the video, and then that way he'll at least have audio that'll be recorded, and then we can show the presentation that way.
Is he able to watch and see the presentation?
He can't, I mean, if he was there, he wouldn't be able to watch it, but he'd be able to hear it. But he can't even get into the room, I guess, is the difficulty.
Possible to use
Talk
that,
about
that old phone right there? Is it possible to use that phone right there?
Being able to view it.
This one right here, just this, just put the microphone to that one?
I don't
Yes.
see a problem with that. It's just if there's gonna be something that's shown on the screen he doesn't see, that would be my concern. Maybe we can kind of adapt and talk about it. And
Is the meeting live? Yes. So he can get on some social media and watch.
Okay,
As long as there's no echo, he's on the phone and stuff.
there will be.
Mr. Chairman, I'll leave it up to you if you want to move on to the next thing, and I'll let you know if he comes in.
I guess just the IT person, do you think that they'll be able to hang out a little bit longer if we move on to the next one?
Yeah,
or-
he said he wasn't gonna be here, so I didn't know if we could move on.
He's got to call in, and he's not in, so.
Here he comes.
We're not seeing him at all. He's not even tried. I would say, honestly, I'd say move on. Here he goes.
Oh, there he
There
is, right
goes.
there. Okay, and then we'll be able to hear him.
Yep. About as well as you do on your speaker. Talk in your mic, see if you can get him to respond.
Tim, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Just barely. Is there any way to turn it up?
What's that?
Right there?
I'll hold it up here closer. Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's better. Okay,
Okay.
so
Sorry
just,
about that. I couldn't get in. I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. You're coming over the speakers now in the commission chambers here. What we're going to do is we're going to switch the computer over to the slideshow, and during that you'll be able to hear us, but you won't be able to talk. And then when we come back from the slideshow, then you can talk to the board with your side of the case, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay. Tim, are you somewhere that you can watch the proceedings on TV or on the internet or something, or are you okay with just listening by audio?
No, I'll just listen.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Tabitha, can we get the PowerPoint pulled up? Oh, sorry. All right. So this case, we initially responded in January to look at several stormwater basins along Scottsville Road, several businesses there, and in particular, this one that we're looking at today on January 13th, I went out, inspected it, found that there was a pretty substantial amount of trash in the basin. It was overgrown. One of the outlets for the basin was pretty much completely clogged with trash, and there was an area that was pretty severely eroded, had been repaired before, but had begun to erode again. And on the 10th of February, I sent an inspection letter to Mr. Poston, or to the owner of record. Mr. Poston responded for the owner of record. And we met on site, we spoke over the phone at that juncture and set a deadline to get the necessary work done at April 30th. On May 3rd, I came around and found that the trash had been cleaned up and it looked like there was new trash present. So that was one item that had been addressed, but the other items had not yet been addressed, and sent a notice of violation on May 14th. And then a citation on June 4th when I had come back around on May 28th, and there was no action on those particular items. So at this point, the items that we were talking about would be the erosion at the inlet to the basin, the clogged outlet pipe, and the overgrown state of the basin. And as of August 23rd, yesterday, I went around there and looked, and the erosion has been repaired. There's new rock in over all the bare earth areas, and the outlet pipe is free of any debris, but the basin is still overgrown, which makes it difficult to inspect, and tree roots, things like that, can actually destabilize earth embankments. So the trees you can see on the top of that picture on the left, those will need to be removed. Mr. Postman had told me he'd have his landscape contractor remove a couple of the trees in a previous conversation, but they had not been at that point. These photos are from the inspection on, this should have been May 28th instead of June 28th. That is a typo in my PowerPoint. Just showing the eroded area. You can see vegetation growing up, a little bit of bare soil around the edges. And then this is from yesterday, showing the outlet pipe free of any trash or debris, and fresh rock over the eroded areas. And as of right now, the only item that remains out of compliance with the citation is the overgrown nature of the basin. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Mr. Poston, I will swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
Yes. Yes.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Okay, on the citation, I sent top-notch landscaping out there when I got it to look at the pipes and to go ahead and weed eat. That's not a basin that you can mow. It's something that we weed eat. She usually weed eats it about 2 to 3 weeks apart. Sometimes it's longer, but she's been told to do that about 2 to 3 weeks, try to weed eat that when it grows up. And so then I got the second notice back about a pipe, and I went out there and I looked, and there was nothing in the pipe. It was clean as it could be, and I couldn't understand why they kept saying the pipe had something in it. And so I turned around and called and said, "Hey, let's meet out there because I don't understand what you're asking me to do." So we went back out there, and he met me out there, and there is a probably 12 or 15-inch pipe that's on the bank that I didn't realize was even there. I kept looking at the pipe that goes between Panda and our basin, and it was clean, so I thought that it was clean. I didn't even realize the other pipe existed. So he asked me to fix the erosion, so I made a phone call to get that done. I called Top Notch and asked them to just try to keep that. It's just a weed-eating basin, so I've only got her on like 2 to 3 weeks. And then the pipe over on the other side had a piece of plastic in it. It was always in it. I reached in there and pulled it out, and while we were there, I got it out of it. At the time we were there was not any debris in there, but there is debris that washes down in there. Obviously, when you have a parking lot the size we do, it's going to end up there. But Top Notch is hired to clean the debris out, to do the weed eating, and I've got her. She's going to take the trees, those growth trees. One of the reasons I didn't see the pipe was there was a tree that was grown up, and it was blocking the view of that pipe. So we're going to have those down. I don't know when she's going to do it, but she's been told to do everything that we've been asked to do. She has been told to do, and will get done. It's just confusing on the reason it took so long. I was looking at the long pipe and I didn't see that much erosion beside the rock. There was some erosion beside the rock, but I didn't feel like it was a very bad erosion, but I didn't even realize that was the spot we were talking about until we met on site. When that was made clear to me, I took care of it.
It is. Basins should be maintained in a state that facilitates their inspection. The other item that I mentioned that we've been researching is that trees growing into earth embankments, which that berm at the back is exactly that. The roots can destabilize them and cause them to erode more quickly. So those are items that are of concern. Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask about the depth of the basin, which has been reduced by, I guess, the
Yes, ma'am.
decomposition of matter, plant matter. Is Mr. Poston aware of that and the need to periodically remove that?
We discussed it on site, but at this time, we have not asked him to do that. That is a standard maintenance item on stormwater basins, is that every 1 to 3, sometimes 5 years, accumulation of organic debris necessitates clean out. It can accumulate at a rate that can be up to 6 inches every few years. So in order to maintain that volume, it needs to be cleaned out. But that was not an item that was addressed in the citation at that time.
But could have that been part of the overtopping issue if it has less capacity?
We are not certain of that at this time. It definitely could be, but we have not fully investigated the overtopping complaints at this time. It's something we will be looking into. We need to get out there at a time when it is raining so we can see the conditions.
Just want to remind everyone to move their mics close to them so we can get it on the recording.
That means you, Randy.
Thank you.
Mr. Poston, do you have plans to go ahead and get this mulberry tree taken care of, since it's been told to you that?
Yes, I do. I thought she had already done it, but as soon as we get off this phone, I will call her. It will be gone in the next few days. I thought they were already gone. I haven't been out there in a while, but yes, we'll get those out there ASAP.
So in a nutshell, what needs to be done to have this taken care of?
At this point, to bring the terms from the citation into compliance, it's just getting the overgrown nature of the basin under control. So Mr. Poston mentioned that he does have a contractor to come out and weed eat. That needs to be done regularly, and those trees need to be removed. And long-term, other issues that will come into play is the basin will need to be cleared out. That debris we just talked about that builds up, that is a maintenance item that comes up every few years. This basin is about 9 years old, so it's something that should happen, or should have happened already, and we will be investigating the overtopping complaints as we move forward. But in order to get through the citation itself, the vegetation is the big issue right now.
We're not talking about a long time fix of this project, sir. We're talking about maybe a weed eater and a chainsaw, and
should be sufficient to get the items remaining on the citation back into compliance. Yes, sir.
So is all that he's done since January 13th is picked up some trash? Is that what you're saying?
They have picked up trash. They have also cleared that pipe, as Mr. Poston mentioned, which is the one of the outlets to the basin. And they've also added rock to the eroded areas to prevent further erosion and scour. I couldn't tell that it had been done. I can't say that it hadn't, but at the times I've been through, it did not look like it had been weed eated recently.
Where the tree?
Yes, sir. We spoke about it on site that day.
back in January?
We spoke about it on site, excuse me, not since day one. He was made aware of the overgrown nature of the basin. We spoke specifically about the tree at the on-site meeting on June 10th.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to uphold the citation and fine in the amount of $1,000.
Second.
Oldham, Deere. Deere,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton,
Yes.
Holman,
Yes.
LaPointe,
All right, thank you, Mr. Poston. So that means you still need to go ahead and get those things taken care of to get into compliance, but you'll also be responsible for the fine of $1,000 for this.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear us?
Yes, okay. I'll tell you what. I will be back in, and I tell you right now, I'm going to go around Bowling Green, and every tree that's in every detention pond, I'm going to make a complaint on it. And it better be handled the same way you just did this one. Because there is a damn lot of them, and I sure am not going to sit back and be taking a fine over a few little old trees when I can name you 50 retention ponds that are full of trees. And I expect this board to do the exact same thing to them as they just did to us. We'll tell you, I think this is petty. That basin is in the back and nowhere to even be seen, and it gets weed eated every 3 or 4 weeks, or whenever she does it. And I think this is totally ridiculous to be fined over something like this. So just be ready. I will be turning them in, and I will expect this board to handle it the same way they did this one right here. Because if you don't, then I will be back. You can count on that.
Thank you, sir. We will now move to case number 2, case 2020-2720, 4662 Russellville Road, Lot 2-2, owner Vita Nova LLC, Nerman Omanovich, Officer Courtney Howell.
There, good afternoon. I did provide Brad with some updated slides just since our last meeting. Next slide. On the 5th of August, contractor Darren Wheat called me with an update. The water quality unit had been ordered and paid for. He did say it would be 4 to 6 weeks. I believe those are made as they're ordered. Darren said he would work on the basin and what he could before the water quality unit arrived. Eric Druin with the City County Planning Commission, he's a development specialist. He asked for an updated landscape plan that matched what was going to be installed on site so that he could approve that, his portion of the project. Eric did conditionally approve the project so that Vita Nova could begin work on the basin. August 11th, Eric reached out to get a status update, an updated landscape plan. 8/11, Eric reminded Thad and Nerman that they still needed to apply for a site work permit through the city of Bowling Green now that the comprehensive development review process had been conditionally completed. 8/23, Thad, the engineer, did provide the updated landscape plan to Eric. That was yesterday. 8/24 today, as of 1 p.m., a site work permit application had not been submitted. And that's just the project plan sheet. shows the basin up top. There's a flume that goes down the side from the facility to that basin and the water quality unit. The parking lot is going to be expanded and curb installed. Next slide. This is from today. They have added the compacted gravel lot, the parking area. There's no curb just yet. Next slide. This is the area that the flume will go in, and then this area right here, yeah, eventually there should be a concrete flume there that goes to the water quality unit from the facility. Next slide. The berm that's going to aid in containing the site's stormwater is not there. There's some mounds of dirt that you can see, but there is, there in that depression towards the corner of the gravel. Once that fills with stormwater, the stormwater does travel and discharge between those mounds onto a neighbor. Next slide. This is just the property in the lower right hand is Vita Nova, and then the lowest elevation there near the arrow is on the neighbor, so I'm just showing that the water is going to travel there. There were no erosion or sediment control best management practices in place when I was there today, so that would be handled as another issue. I think that's all I have, unless you all have any questions for me.
What's the time frame to do what needs to be done to bring this into compliance if we started today?
As far as what these citations are regarding?
Yes.
The water quality unit, once that's in, then they should be able to get it in, but some things could be a little further along to where it would just be the water quality unit. But as long as, right now I think we're just tabling till September, so I guess they have until then, but it just depends on. I
guess my question would be, are we talking a month, 6 weeks, 3 months to do this?
Oh, they did this work in a handful of days.
Kind of hypothetical, because,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
It
variables that
shouldn't-
come in,
yeah.
rain and everything else.
They did this work in a handful of days, I think.
That's a
It
handful.
shouldn't. Equipment was, I would say equipment was probably moving 3 to 5 days. I really can't say.
It's I apologize for speaking from back here, but it's tough to say.
I'm just trying to get an idea.
With a full-size crew, with all the equipment that they needed to have there, the couple days, maybe 3 for concrete prep, actual working days, weather notwithstanding, and a couple days for concrete. So there's 7 or 8 working days worth of work to be done.
To be done. Sorry.
Yes. Go.
Chairman Dearbone, good afternoon. Good afternoon, members of the board. It's good to see you all again, and I appreciate you allowing us to come this evening to give you a progress report. I came prepared to present to you some photographs. I have those, but I was a little bit outshined by the staff. Mine were taken yesterday, and theirs were taken today. But I have those on the screen. I have multiple copies I'll be happy to provide. But here's a view more or less from sort of Russellville Road. That is Mr. Omanovich's business, Vita Nova LLC, to the left. and you can see kind of in the back, that's that area that's currently being developed for the stormwater basin. The next photograph, if I recall correctly, yes, that's just taken from a little further out, gives you a more perspective as to how the property lies and where the work is being conducted. And again, if you'll look kind of in the back or the right side of the photograph, you'll see the equipment back there. And then maybe one more, yes, that is taken more or less from the left side of the building as you're looking from Russellville Road to the back where the basin will actually be located. You heard or saw, I guess, in the timeline, the water quality unit. We were here on July the 27th, if I'm not mistaken. The water quality unit was ordered and purchased by Mr. Omovich on August the 5th. I have a copy of the receipt to the extent you want to see that. It was about $9,000 plus for that piece of equipment. And that is, what you heard earlier is correct. It typically takes around 4 to 6 weeks for that to arrive. And quite honestly, I've not spoken with the contractor in the last several days to know if that part is here. There's the online receipt showing that purchase was made on August the 5th. Very good question from Board Member Deere about the timeline. I heard, I think, 7 to 8 days of actual work. That's pretty close to what Mr. Omovich has been led to understand from the contractor. Obviously, the contractor this isn't his only job. He is making it a priority, but he has given us an estimate of about 2 weeks to bring it to completion from today, which is several weeks ahead of our September 28 meeting, and the whole idea is, I would have loved to have stood here tonight and told you that it was complete. I know they've been working on it as much as they can, but have no reason at all to believe that when we're back before the board on September the 28th that this project will be completed. We'll be happy to answer any other questions you have. Again, we just appreciate the opportunity to give you an update. Otherwise, we hope to be here to give you images of a finished product in 4 weeks or 5 weeks.
These citations, since the first citations have been appealed, all of these were appealed at the proper time frame?
Correct, yes.
Of course, all of any evidence or testimony that would pertain to those was the same as that which you heard a month ago for a couple of hours.
Oh, if I understand correctly, your purpose in being here this evening is just to provide the board an update and not expecting us to take any action?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
In fact, Mr. Chairman, what I think needs to be done tonight is table this to our September 28th meeting, because that was the action that was taken last time.
I agree.
So we will entertain a motion to table this to our September meeting, and we'll see.
These are technically the other citations. When we were here a month ago, it was just the one. These are the others, so it would seem to me to make sense to take similar action on these, and we'll all come back here in September.
I motion that we table this until our September meeting, these citations.
I'll second.
Dearbone, Holman. Deere?
Yes.
Dearbone?
Yes.
Eggleton?
Yes.
Holman?
Yes.
LaPointe?
All right. Case number 3, case 2021-2573, citation 2021-7634, 724 Cherry Blossom Court, owners Garrett Brothers, Continuous Mix, Inc., respondent Fred Meyer, Officer Courtney Howell.
Okay, I guess next slide. Sorry.
Okay, good. Excuse me, sir.
Good. You pay the bill, Brad? Well, let's hope at least it lasts till the end of the meeting.
Okay, Garrett Brothers, they were found to have been carrying out a washout of a concrete truck on Cherry Blossom in Rivers Landing Edge, which is a violation of BG Ordinance 21-2.04, illicit discharge applicability and responsibility. Other than naturally occurring stormwater, no person shall discharge or cause to be discharged into the MS4 or any conveyance any materials included but not limited to pollutants or hazardous materials or waters containing any pollutants or hazardous materials that cause or contribute to a violation of applicable water quality standards. Next slide. Here on the left is a copy of our KPDES permit. Bowling Green is a municipal separate storm sewer system, or MS4. The Kentucky Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit is a federally mandated state-issued permit that authorizes MS4s to discharge stormwater runoff into receiving waters of the Commonwealth. When it was initially issued in 2003, the city was given a deadline for which we had to have ordinances and permit conditions in place and the authority to accomplish the following: control the contribution of pollutants by stormwater associated with construction and post-construction during development projects, prohibit illicit non-stormwater to the MS4, prohibit spills, dumping, disposal of materials other than stormwater, enforcement of our city ordinances relating to stormwater, and inspection and monitoring of compliance with permit conditions. This is the photo that was taken on July 1st, 2021. That was provided to me from an anonymous source. And there you see that he's washing his chute out into Cherry Blossom. Next slide. This was taken August 5th, the day that I received the picture. And there is concrete washout in the gutter and street, and then pointing at a storm drain there. Just another picture of the washout. And you can keep scrolling. This is from the United States EPA National Service Center for Environmental Publications. Concrete washout water, or wash water, is a slurry containing toxic metals. It's also caustic and corrosive, having a pH near 12. In comparison, Drano liquid drain cleaner has a pH of 13.5. Caustic wash water can harm fish gills and eyes and interfere with reproduction. The safe pH ranges for aquatic life habitats are 6.5 to 9 for freshwater and 6.5 to 8.5 for saltwater. Next slide. On August 10th, I issued a citation for $1,000 and mailed and talked to Mr. Fred Myers of Garrett Brothers. In conclusion, though this amount of washout does not seem too detrimental to humans or the environment, the number of pores, washouts quickly add up in our growing city. Without hard evidence of photographic proof of an illicit discharge's source, I cannot reprimand a party. However, with photographic evidence of a washout in progress, I am required by our federally mandated state-issued KPDES permit to accomplish items 1 through 5 on slide 3. I would like to make a motion to uphold the citation and fine in the amount of $1,000. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, so concrete was poured somewhere that day.
Yes.
Somewhere else.
Yes.
Besides where it was dumped, right?
Yes, there is a significant amount of active residential lots in that subdivision.
To know, where is it usually appropriate to wash out?
Contractor should provide a spot for them to wash out. There should be a washout for the concrete, or if they can have a spot that's away from the street, stormwater infrastructure, any sinkholes or waterways, that they can put it in and let it become inert and then break it up and dispose of it properly. We will accept that. It's just that it can't be done in the streets and infrastructure and close to places that's sensitive.
Is there any situation where when somebody does this dumping that they notify the city or anybody, this is where I'm dumping this, or is it just, you know, if they happen to just go somewhere and just dump it, nobody would be the wiser unless they're, to the point you made in the presentation, there's some sort of photographic evidence?
Correct. Unless there's photographic evidence, I wouldn't have much of a case.
Sir, you're welcome to come up and I'll swear you in and you can give us your side of the case. Do you swear to tell the truth? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, and if you'll tell us your name.
Fred Meyer, Garrett Brothers. Obviously, we disagree with this. Our driver was just basically washing down. So it's a very, I don't know, if you take a truck, you pour out, you wash down, then all of a sudden we're tracking. Well, if we're tracking stuff out, then we get blamed, tracking across town. So, I don't, the driver, he put it behind the actual curb. He's just rinsing his truck off. Where's he, it's a concrete truck. Where do we go with it? So, I don't, we only got the one picture, but I don't, like I said, I don't agree with it. We pour in the city all the time. What do we do, when we're downtown? We poured, last week poured for the city right here on Alumni. City employee tells the driver to wash out right there on the sidewalk. I got pictures. So, what are we supposed to do? We're behind the curb and gutter, but we gotta rinse the truck off. If we don't rinse the truck off, then we're tracking, and then we get calls. So, that's a new neighborhood. I don't, we're not the only company down there. There's other companies. I don't agree with it. He just, he's just doing his job. So, and that's where our customer said, go wash out. So, I don't, I guess what I'm asking is what do we do, as far as, when we're in the city, where do we wash out at? So, like I said, we don't, I think our driver was just strictly washing the concrete down. There wasn't a discharge in the city or, in the curb and gutter. So, that's it. And there's multiple companies that use that spot.
He's in the street, in the curb, over the top of the stone. And to your question, where could I have washed out?
Well,
could have pulled forward and washed out behind.
if you go on the backside of that, of the Rose Roll, the fence, there's concrete all over the place back there.
Exactly.
And he's just rinsing basically his chute off. It's a residue. It's not like taking a wheelbarrow.
Only stormwater in the storm drain. I understand you, but were he 4 feet farther forward and the chutes were behind that silt fence, we would not issue a citation for that.
Okay. Is our customer liable?
Your customer permits that are greater than 750 square feet, that they're responsible for the soil that emanates from their job sites, and we're constantly doing inspections and issuing work for that. We also tell them that when you order concrete washout is a part of that process, you must provide that driver with a place to go. In this circumstance, I don't know who you took concrete to.
Okay.
If I were there in the moment, I would have stopped him, and I would have had a discussion with both.
Okay.
But where we're left with is a photograph of a concrete truck washing out into a storm drain. And honestly, the answer to your question is, anywhere that washout has a chance to dry out without making it to a storm drain is an acceptable place with us.
Can I show you these?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right, did you say that the client or the customer told him that's?
Yeah, it's a common spot in this neighborhood. I mean, it's not just us, it's other, ready-mix suppliers, it's other contractors. It's a common area where everybody's going. So it's at the back, it's not developed. That's where we're going with it. So that's, my driver was basically instructed, that's where that's where they have to go.
And my only counterpoint to that would be the client, customer, how well-versed are they in this to know and say, okay, this is where it's supposed to go?
Our customer knows that they have to provide us a place to wash out properly. So, and we know that it's not perfect every time. The question that's been brought to us is, is the contractor, is he liable? Can you find him?
I'm not an attorney.
Well,
in this circumstance, I can redress the issue with the party that was conducting the activity.
because we're working for him. So, I get it. It's just like working for the city, like I wanted to show you.
Well, honestly, Mr. Meyer, in this case, were he 3 to 4 feet farther forward, we would not have issued this citation.
Okay.
If that water was going out onto the ground behind that fence.
If you would go by, would you issue that?
Is he behind the curb in the utility
He's
street?
right on top of the curb.
Is he washing out into the street or into the utility street?
He's washing right on top of the curb, but they are spraying tools off, and it's going into the street. Those are city employees.
Yeah, and in the street, then we'll address that with our folks too. But it looks like for the most part, the washout's going into the utility strip.
Well, they sprayed the chutes out. You can see him right here. He's standing in the middle of the street.
Right.
Spraying the chute out. It's not all going down. He's still throwing it out there on the street.
I understand.
So if you would have saw that.
Yes, we'd stop, talk to them too. As a matter
But,
of fact,
but I would have, but Garrett Brothers would have got the fine.
Yes.
Okay. It wouldn't go to the city, it'd go to us.
Yes.
Okay.
How are the drivers trained? What's the process? What are they supposed to do after they?
How we go through, different seminars. They go through, depending on experience, it could be a month, it could be longer.
Not how often.
They're all instructed. They're all instructed how to basically what happens on a load. Wash your truck down. What to look for. Make sure there's nothing that mud, this, that. Everybody gets trained. So.
What are they supposed to do with the wash water?
Well, that goes back to the customer.
How's the driver trained?
They're trained to go to a designated spot. Okay, like if you take a commercial property, more than likely, they're going to have they're going to have bales up. They're going to have a designated spot. Okay, subdivisions, depending, most of these contractors, most of these builders, they'll pick one lot. They'll sit there and say, all right, everybody's washing out right here. Whether it's Garrett Brothers, the other guys, whoever. That's where everybody's going. That's where everybody's washing out. So, unless it's a big commercial thing, project, there's not a designated spot. Our driver's just going wherever our customer goes to. You know, they sit there and say, you're washing out right here. We tell them wherever we deliver, wash out on that lot. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you can't do that, especially out there because, well, the truck's bigger than the lot. I mean, the lots are small, so, I mean, there's just not any space. That's why they pick a lot, you know, at the end, so.
So is that what happened in this case? A lot was selected and it looks
Yeah,
like,
I mean, you're seeing it. I mean, more development that's, you know, going in. You know, you got smaller lots. You know, these developers are coming in to making a lot as small as they can to get as many, you know, lots they can sell. Well, when you put a footer on a house and then you take a concrete truck, I mean, you're only going to get half a truck off the property or off the street. I mean, there's no room. You know, so, you know, they try to keep it, you know, contained. So with that, you're going to have some water come out. It's not actual concrete. It's just washed, you know, it's washed down. So I don't, like I said, you know, I talked to that driver. You know, he put it on the backside. You know, he said, I was just spraying it down. And I mean, you know, like I said, I don't agree with it. You know, especially with what happened, you know, last week up here with the city. You know, they right there. You know, he was doing what basically our customer told him to do. So that's all I got to say.
So you said 3 or 4 feet more, this wouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah. No, quite literally, this is the one circumstance, well, one of 2 circumstances where we would issue a fine immediately for concrete washout.
Well,
one is directly into the curb line where it's going to go straight into the storm sewer. The other would be directly into a water resource, so a stream or something.
if that driver pulls up 4 or 5 more feet, wrenches down, now he's got his tires in all that mud and muck, which there's mud there now because it's at the bottom of the hill, so everything runs down there. So when he pulls out, he's going to have to wash that truck down again or track mud all the way back out the Porter Pike. So he backed up because there wasn't any concrete in there. It was just strictly his chute.
I can answer you this, that I would not write a citation for someone for tracking through mud that's already in the road. Now, we have issued numerous citations
Coming
already
off
in that development for exactly the issue that you're talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
But quite simply, anywhere but into a storm drain, we would be accepting it.
well,
Are your drivers, I know you can only do so much if you rely on the contractor to tell them where to go dump it. I get that. And how do you, in a situation like this, seems to me the contractor's the one that has given the bad advice.
Yeah.
Well,
to a point, I mean,
right.
I'll defend my customer because that's where the rest of the contractors in this subdivision, that's where they're sending, you know, all their, you know, their concrete trucks are going there.
Has this changed since the citation was written, the dump site?
I have basically told everybody, whatever lot they pour out, especially in that subdivision, to wash out right there. We just did a major pour up there today with another contractor. He does have a washout pit. If you go by and look at that washout pit, it's approximately probably 8 to 10 feet off the road. Well, they washed out in it, but you still had water that ran out of it down to the street. You know, it's where they're spraying their trucks out. You do have a wet area. You know, it is somewhat contained, you know, better than this, you know, but, you know, I think he's the only contractor in there that's done that. So, our employees have been told on the property that we deliver and everything behind the curb and gutter is what they've been told again. So, you know, contractor tells driver, wash out down there. I mean, 9 times out of 10, even though we tell them that they're still gonna go down there. I mean, it's just the mentality. So, I don't got anything else to say. Any questions?
Well, he's got 3 more chute pieces. He really could have sat right there where he is and dumped it further out.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, those chutes are, I mean, you're basically, well, you're 3 foot. You know, you're reaching about 15, 18 foot when you got 4 chutes on.
Yeah.
So he's obviously washed those off up into the grass, and he's just broke them down. Basically what they do is they go through a routine, and you start spraying down, you pick up your last chute, you put it on, you spray it off. Go to the next chute, you get down to your last chute, put it on, flip your chute up, hit it one more time, make sure nothing falls off, and out, you know, back to the plant. So, I don't know. If he pulls up, he's probably right. But then again, he's also going to be in a whole bunch of mud. And, you know, they're going to spend more time spraying the mud off the tires.
So can they wash in the grass? Can they wash this out in the grass?
Sorry, I've been reminded repeatedly that if I don't speak into a microphone, none of this gets recorded. Many, many times have I been reminded in the last couple of minutes. Thanks, Brad. Yes, essentially, the issue with the concrete washout, particularly in storm drains, is twofold. One is the environmental impact. Courtney covered that pretty thoroughly. The other is the loss of capacity if there's, to Mr. Meyer's point, a lot of actual concrete. And we do see that quite a bit too, where extra concrete gets thrown through storm drains, which winds up in the bottom of the box, and then that's a capacity issue. What he's discussing is that this is a watery mix. It's not going to set up and form and leave a big mass behind. Essentially, anywhere that you put that watery mix so that it can dry out, once it dries out, it's inert. It's concrete, it's limestone powder. So once it's dried out, it's inert, and I don't care where it is. Within reason, you know, someone else's property, someone's flower garden, clearly that's not what I mean. But basically, so long as that concrete wash water can go anywhere that's not the storm drain or a stream to dry out is acceptable.
Ms. Howe, has this been rechecked since the 10th?
I have been out there, I'm sorry, the 10th. I was out there I was out there the 5th, and there was slurry dried in the gutter, the 5th of August.
Okay. Well, I mean, obviously, our main concern is compliance. And, you know, I hate that this happened because I certainly understand I understand what happened.
Yeah.
I do. I get a great understanding of that. But with that being said, you know, there has to be some, I think personally that there has to be some kind of repercussion based upon the law and based upon these codes. So therefore, I'm going to make a motion to uphold the citation and fine the amount of $1,000.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
if I may. Is there any kind of warning before the first citation? I mean, do companies get, or is it just? And what happens after the first citation?
It depends on the program. For construction, for some of the other programs that we enforce, we are afforded the luxury of issuing sometimes a courtesy notice of violation, then a citation if compliance isn't achieved. Illicit discharge is singular for us. It stands alone because it's an instantaneous thing. It's a thing that happened or happens. It's something that we rarely bring to the board because we have to be watching it happen or we have to catch it happen and get a photograph of it. And in those circumstances, it's a citation, because it's typically an instantaneous, one-time thing that does all of its damage in one fell swoop. So you are, to my knowledge, during my tenure here, the second concrete company that we've gotten a photograph of this happening with. And the only other one in the last several years was a septic hauler doing the exact same thing with a septic tank truck. So did that answer your question fully?
Now, does the citation increase with recurring?
It would be a recurrence of the exact same issue. So same place, same storm drain, same company, then yes, you might call that a second offense. But as the guy who kind of supervises the folks who write these, in a different location with different, vehicles, that sort of thing, I would not call it a second offense.
Okay.
Unless it was very clearly, we're looking at, it was Ed, we know it was Ed, we got a photograph of
Yeah.
Ed's face, and we see Ed do it again next week.
Okay. Sorry.
Read that again?
Go ahead and say it again.
The motion is that I want to uphold the citation and the fine in the amount of $1,000.
I'll second it.
Deere, Holman. Deere,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton. Holman,
Yes.
LaPointe.
All right, we will now move to case number 4, case number 2019-3053, citation 2021-7721, 518 Regents Avenue, owner Dennis and Beverly Segrist, respondent Dennis Segrist, officer James Hetty.
Greetings this afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Dearborn and members. This case is it's a 2018, November 2018, I received a complaint reference to parking on gravel. Went through the notice of violation process, and in the spring of 2019 issued the first citation for the $100. And the citation was appealed to the board, and the board upheld the citation and the fine. And the violation, or it was appealed to district court, and we just had, back in June, district court with Judge John Brown upheld the citation and the fine. I went out August the 2nd and looked at the property, and it's non-compliant. That reinspection picture there shows the gravel still present in the front yard, and the occupants were parking on that at yesterday, or earlier today, the 24th, when I went back out before coming here. So the property is still not compliant. And you guys have any questions?
So has there been any, doesn't look like anything has really been done at all?
No, sir. Nothing has changed since the November the 2018th. Since I've been out there, and like I say, the notice of violation and the citation and the appeals. So we're back to, this is the citation number 2.
Mr. Chairman, I might point out on an appeal to district court, we have to try it anew. It's called de novo, as the term implies. So we start all over again to make the presentation. So Judge Brown isn't deciding it just on what you heard. He hears it all anew with witnesses, and then he made his determination that he would uphold the citation and the fine. And that would have been the first offense. This took a little bit of time to get to the court system in light of the pandemic.
I could go through the slides if that would explain some of the inspections that I did on the first citation.
What are the fines up to?
$100 fine. No, sir. It's a $100 fine, first offense. This is the second offense now.
This is November of last year?
Yes, sir.
Has the first fine been paid?
I do not know. We'll find out.
I'll look that up real quick.
While we're looking, Mr. Hetty, just as If you have the 2015 picture.
Do. If Brad can roll, right through there. There's street view, and it shows the June the 2015. Yeah, and there's a close-up look, and that's shows no gravel on there. It appears to be dirt and grass.
The reason I wanted him to show that was shown at the first hearing and before the judge. And there was an issue about it was always like that. That needed to be documented.
My question is, if this started back in 2018, can you just clarify why we're just at $200 in fines?
Well, the first appeal, he came here, he then appealed it to district court, and unfortunately, we got caught right in the pandemic. The person that appealed had some health issues at one point in time, and that delayed matters, and then we went back to court. Normally, it's not that slow, but that's a very good question.
So what was that time frame?
Well, it's been a couple of years.
Okay, so that whole time, okay, so this is just coming back up?
Yes, sir, it just
Gotcha.
now is coming back up. I'm sorry if I didn't make that clear.
And the fines are still outstanding. The fines are still outstanding. They have not been paid.
Segrist? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Do.
All right.
I ask that this hearing is postponed as I was not legally notified. I only turned this in last Wednesday to have the appeal.
So when Mr. Segrist came in to file his appeal, I went out with my pamphlet to go ahead and give him written notice to appear, I'm sorry. He did not want to wait and accept that. So as he was walking out the door, I was asking, do you want to go ahead and come to this meeting? And he said, I'm going to be there, so that's fine. And I went ahead and sent the notice to appear, even though that was the time that it was. So verbally, he told me he was going to be here anyway, so that was fine to go ahead and hear it.
Motion that we.
Second?
Deere, LaPointe, Deere,
Yes.
Dearbone,
Yes.
Eggleton, Holman,
Yes?
LaPointe.
All right, we have no old business. We have no new business. Under comments and announcements, we need to discuss scheduling a special call meeting on August 31st.
This is, we were wanting to do a little working session, if you will, and that's going to be to refresh everyone who's been on the board for a while and learning time, training period for the new members. And we were looking at maybe doing this next Tuesday. I believe 4:30 is the time that we would have to stick with. But that way, since we've been having longer hearings, we can just, we won't have to be televised. It'll be open to the public, but because there will not be any motions and votes and that kind of thing, we wouldn't have to record it. If you all are, if everyone can make that, that's the 31st at 4:30? No.
I won't be able.
Okay, okay. And if not, we can always still, again, put it at the end of a meeting when we come back. Yeah. So I guess we'll just go on and, what do you want to do, Brad? You want to put it off until the next meeting, the regular scheduled meeting in September?
I mean, that's really up to the board. We're just bringing to your your choice of whenever, and if you opt not to do so, that's fine as well. It's a presentation that the board has been presented about 2 or 3 years ago. We've updated it, and it was helpful then. So with having new board members, it's completely up to you. If you want to have a special call, if you want to have it as part of the other meeting, that's your choice.
No, it will not be recorded. Yeah, since there will not be any motions and votes, we will not have to do that.
What it looks like to me is the September meeting, you have one item that's on the agenda that'll have maybe some length to it, maybe not. You've already heard quite a bit.
Yeah, it's always, we just don't ever.
But it would seem to me, when we've done it before, we've done it at the end of a regular meeting. I get the Labor Day holiday coming up with schedules.
Okay, that's fine.
I look forward to it at whatever time we choose. I look forward to it.
We'll just look forward
I think if we can
in
plan
September.
for it, I mean, it needs to be done, in my opinion, it needs to be done. I'd like to hear it again. And obviously with our new members, I mean, I was asking the questions about repeat offenders today coming in.
Right.
So that tells me that I need to be updated on things like that. If we can do it, how much time frame are we talking about?
October, maybe?
Maybe an hour, I would say. Hey, Brad?
At the most, and that's with any of your questions. I mean, the information itself probably wouldn't take 30 minutes.
Well, I have a 102-year-old mother-in-law that lives with me, and my wife, and she will be 102 on Tuesday.
Wow.
So I won't be here on
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Well, we'll just plan to
After
do that
meeting?
on September 28th.
Yeah.
And if that meeting goes long, we can push it for another day.
Sounds good. For
Okay.
the next meeting, yeah.
And we don't need to make a motion or anything on that, so. Okay? Yeah, just
And-
the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, and we're at it.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Dearbone, Deere. Eggleton. Holman.
Yes?
LaPointe.